shines like an angel of the abyss. And at the altar, it's explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss.
Hi everyone, my name is Art Mizer. Thank you for coming. This is a stream of pure art, so I'll be taking any comments or questions, and yeah, I'll be illustrating two characters for the Tales of the Strange Fallout: The Great North game. They'll be appearing in an upcoming stream, so yeah. One more person, thank you for coming. So the two characters I've got here are a couple of raiders, trying to make them properly look like Wastelanders. So I've got the thrown together armor pieces and weaponry. Fellow on the right's got this sort of this axe, but I'm gonna add a few rivets and welds into the to the body of the handle. And the other guy's got a it's a sword, but I might make it into a big machete. I don't know. But I'll get to him next, and I'll just finish the pencils for this guy, who I've drawn over his beard a little bit. So there we are. Hello, Leaky Teacup. Thank you for joining. Very nice. There we are. With me, things are going pretty good. Got to be the most busy I've ever been in my life right now, but it's a good problem to have, and yeah, no complaints. But it's kind of nice actually being able to like just do something like this, and with a bit of design on the fly, So especially with characters like these, are quite fun to do. So yeah, especially the kind of rougher looking, Viking type. Wastelanders. So yeah, I think I'll give this guy a kind of single braid mohawk type thing. Then the other guy, I might give him a helmet actually. So I don't want to forget when I get around to him. So I'm just gonna rough that in. Some kind of like bike hard hat type thing. Try not to do the expression of the character as you're drawing them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just grimacing the whole time here. And yeah, it definitely helps with getting in the zone. Hello, Steve of Syrinscape. Gonna add a few facial markings, just lighten up my pencils a little bit. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? Maybe some kind of swirl motif here, like this. Pointing into his brow line, just making him look a little bit more angry, and I might have a sharp point up here. Something like that. And I'll mirror it on the other side, I think. Definitely will take suggestions, though. These designs aren't you know, set in stone, so I'll oh, this is my first time in chat, yeah. I think I'm gonna ink his face actually. So the brush pen I use is the Fudenosuke Tombow brush pen. They do a hard version of this, which is like blue. The tip's a little bit like tougher, whereas I like this like slightly softer one. You get a bit more like bounce to it and a bit more like line weight, things like that. It's much closer to a brush than the other one, I think. But to be honest, they're actually not even drawing pens; they're calligraphy pens. They've just got like the nicest subtlety in terms of like line thickness. You can get kind of like brush effects, you know, with like a disposable type of brush. There's his eye. Welcome all, welcome all. Don't know who he's yelling at, but he's yelling at somebody. But I'll give him some like spaced out kind of maybe some missing teeth. There we go. I don't know if I want to give him a beard braid or just like a big sort of shaggy beard. Otherwise, does Bob Ross. I'm definitely not Bob Ross. In terms of like artists, I don't know. Probably more like Yoko Ono or something like that. But yeah, I will give him a beard braid. Go for him. Drawing braids is pretty tough, actually. So you got to think about like how it would actually fold into itself, like and create its shape. But I've drawn enough dwarves now where I think I can, you know, just sort of wing it, not look at reference. There it is. So I'll have it tied up there. Once I'm done with these guys, I'll scan them in and color them up digitally. Wouldn't dream of doing it by hand, actually. I just, don't trust myself to do it straight on the original, like, inks. Definitely scan it first and maybe make a copy and color it physically on that with, like, markers or something. But you can't beat Photoshop, to be honest. Give him... Might have that marking on his face come down under his eye in a point. Bring up his head shape a little bit. Another braid. Yeah, I'll make it another braid. So it looks something like that. Do I do all the coloring digitally, or do I ink color, then oh, okay. Yeah, I ink them first, scan them, color them digitally, and then, yeah, at least I get an original out of it. Problem is, though, the original obviously doesn't look like the final colored version, which is, a pain, but if you get a really nice print out of it, you can kind of, get a good final product, but it wouldn't be one of a kind then. So that is the one benefit of, like, coloring the on the original, and then you truly have like a one of a kind original instead of just like the inks as an original and then the colored file digital. But I have tried painting though, like coloring in like with paint and stuff, like gouache or watercolor or like acrylics. God, but just it's just not forgiving at all. I kept trying to like use like an undo button that like didn't exist, when I do it like traditionally. So yeah, my hand was just reaching for an undo button that wasn't there. That's the problem when you're digital all the time. So. It's on his nose. Yeah. There we go. Thank you very much, Tales of the Strange. Yep. I mean, always try with the face first, because then it kind of dictates, the rest of him. So yeah, he's definitely not got a fun expression. So I'm gonna have all the veins popping in his arm as he's like grabbing the, gripping the axe, and definitely have all the tendons and stuff like straining in his hand as he grips it. So that kind of thing, comes from figuring out the face first. Then you can decide how to do the rest of the body. Yeah. I'm gonna give him a shoulder pad, I think. We something like that. I keep putting my pen in my mouth and realizing I can't talk. I'm gonna add some like those like washers, like rivets and washers. There's like kind of disc shaped like things that a rivet goes on. I think I'll have like a kind of row of them, just like on top of one another, as if it's just been like riveted into like sort of a piece of like curved plastic or something, and it's just become a shoulder pad that way. Something like that. There we go. Thank you very much, Raymond T. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Yep. You know, I might even do a little bit of like background, but that'll be when these two are more or less wrapped up. Maybe a smoke cloud or something like that, kind of drifting behind them. Yeah. Cool. I'm happy with that. Add a shape of the shoulder pad like that. And then want to get it proper, very like gritty looking. So going to come in with a lot of like cross hatching and just darken this whole thing up. Quite sparsely. It's not a very like smooth material. Cool. Sweet. Thinking for a sleeve, going for something like a shirt that's got some like sort of maybe it's been like quilted. So if I go for like you know what, I'll freehand this actually. So like it's got that kind of like quilting to it. Then it'll be like a cross quilting, so it will look like that. I think he's made it out with like a duvet or something. But and then maybe I'll add some sort of studs in the middle of these. There we go. So kind of like that. And then add a bit of hatching over the whole thing. Sweet. Cool. Gonna give him like a scarf, something around his neck. I need some kind of like feature around his neck, just to kind of I don't want to have like a collar or anything. And he's got a cloak, so I guess I'll give him kind of a big like shawl like wrap around his neck. Something like that. Something very big. Life vest. He's not that much of a dork. He's Marty McFly, you know, life preserver. No, I don't know. You know, everything I don't do for this guy, I'll do for the other guy. Let's say so. You know. So yeah, it's a funny idea. Maybe like some kind of fur backing behind him. Look something like that. Darken up a bit. Cool. All right. And on his chest, I don't know if I'll go with the quilting all over him, but all over his shirt. But I might do later, but for now I'll make it a regular shirt, and I want this kind of like in the middle of its chest, and all these like straps are kind of coming off of it. So I'll ink that, and yeah, it'll be like this kind of, with all these sort of like individual straps like meeting at the same point, and all the straps like proper sort of worn out and, you know, aged looking. There we go. I'll add like where the rings would be around there. Problems with drawing things like that, you've got like elements on top of each other. Do you know what I mean? But you have to show like the underlying structure of that ring holding all these things, if you know what I mean. So that's why, like, you know, you have guys like Kim Jong-gi, who is an amazing like artist who can just draw things without penciling it in first. But to do something like that, I'd have to sort of pencil it first, figure it out on paper. But some guys, they just do it in their head, and it just blows my mind. I can't even, you know, imagine it. But some people just like spin objects in 3D in their head, like, you know, effortlessly, and just can just see perspective with like their third eye. It's crazy. But sweet, yeah. I like that. Very sort of rustic looking. There we go. Texturing on him. Like that there. I'll give him like a proper like kind of weightlifter's belt, like a really wide one, with a big kind of not a buckle, but like a sort of strap thing, like here. There we go. Can't remember which side it goes, if it goes right or left. It's going this way, so I'll just run with it. And then he's got the loop here, and then strap in there, like that. Sweet, thanks for being here, everyone. So I saw the count. Like I said, any suggestions, I'll take it on board. So yeah, I like the way it's kind of cinching into him, like it's proper sucking his gut in. You know, so it's like he's got that hanging over, kind of like that. The other shoulder pad, I don't want it to be symmetrical. This one on, I suppose. Yeah, you could just have one shoulder pad. I suppose that could work too. Yeah, I'll go for another shoulder pad, like, but I'll have it like segmented. I won't have it like a big kind of round one like that. Go for something that goes like that, and then another one like underneath like that, and then that will fold in that way, and like some poking out kind of parts like that. Like nails have been stuck in like underneath it, underneath the that like layer, and just poking out that way. That That's right. Cool. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I like the spikes. Very sweet. Would look cool on a helmet, actually. Like a big spiky, a load of spikes poking out of it. Sweet. It's come to that time where I might have to do these two hands finally. I've been putting it off. But problem is I always have to like get my hand you know, in the same position, or else I'm just clueless. I can't, you know, make it up as I go. I need a little bit of reference from my own hand. So I think like that. I'm gonna give him like big kind of, you know, big wide fingers, sort of massive hands. Thumb coming down. Too bad. And then comes over here. This guy's going to be the sort of, you know, really tough looking one. I think this guy needs to be a bit more like, maybe he's a rookie, you know. He's not seen many battles like this guy has, you know, so maybe he's not quite as raring to go as this dude. We got through it, everyone. We got through it. We did the we did the hand. Sweet. And the other one, you know, what first I'm gonna do is like bicep and sort of whatever kind of wrist brace he's got. It will need some kind of design. I might go with like a kind of fur trim up here. Or maybe he's like got some like wraps, you know, like boxing glove kind of wraps that he's just sort of like done up his arm. Sort of lightly pencil that in first. So it'll be like a wrap going up there. So a big bicep vein coming down his arm as well. And maybe I'll have like the like he's done it a bit too tight, so he's got kind of his muscle like bulging out of the wrap ever so slightly. Whereas that kind of sort of big gnarly vein. There we go. A bit of arm hair on there. Yeah, there'll be like kind of like sports wrap, like bandages, I guess. You know, he's done it up his arm like that. Cool. Oh, nice. Yeah. Sweet. So I'm gonna add a little like shadow. Sometimes I just kind of like use the edge of the pencil like this to do like a kind of suggestion. So like by doing that, it's like, you know, using the side of it to kind of get more coverage than rather than like using the top to do like a, you know, a fine point like that. So I think with like things like this, I want to shade in the you know, his chest part, um, but I want to like figure it out first. So I'm gonna have my light sources like coming in like here. Like there's a sort of primary light source here and a secondary one here. So a lot of this is going to be quite lit, and then there's going to be like a kind of bounce light happening, sort of under him, like in front of him a little bit. So I'll have the main one here and the secondary one here, and that will affect that this part here. So I'll shade that in a little bit more. I'll affect the arms a little bit, and I might do a little shadow on his face, like just on one side. So when I actually apply it, like, you know, now that I've done the thinking, I can just kind of like throw in these like kind of curved lines into him, all whilst kind of following the shape of the material that it's happening, you know, on top of. And all the crevices like going up to there, that's got to be like solid black. Yeah. Definitely some shadow being cast by like the sleeve of the arm and that shoulder pad there. I'm ignoring the straps because I kind of, they're on their own kind of like, you know, plane. So I'll shadow those differently and maybe at like an angle. So like that. Just only a little bit though. Because material, different kinds of material, like this is some kind of leather, like sort of shiny leather, I guess. And then this is like a very like matte canvas type of material. So they kind of like, I guess, reflect light very differently, you know? So like the leather straps just aren't going to kind of bounce back as much light. Oh, sorry, the leather straps will bounce back more light, and then the sort of canvas material will just like be very like caked in shadow because it's very matte. But to be honest, when it comes to like drawing and, you know, especially with like more comic booky type stuff, you know, light affects things. Um, I mean, the way you want it to, whichever way looks coolest. You know, you can kind of like bend physics, you know, as much as you want, um, just for the sake of the cool factor. You know, if an image is more effective by like kind of ignoring, you know, a sort of physics truth, you know, so long as it's like convincing, and doesn't look like wrong to the eye, then yeah, you just go for it. Comic book rule of cool, 100%, 100%. Especially in the 90s where everything was all about the cool and less about the actual storytelling. But yeah, not 100%. Cool. The dreaded right hand. Be like that kind of shape. So knuckles, 2, 3, 4. A lot of those tendons like straining here. 3, 4. And there we go. Yeah, you know what? I'll actually make the wrap go all the way into the hand, like he's kind of done the boxing glove style, like, you know, around his hand. Um, like the points going between his fingers and wrap over like that. Yeah, I like that actually. I like that a bit more. He's a sort of crazy looking warrior, but at least he, you know, doesn't want to break his hand by punching stuff, so he's at least careful in that regard. Very smart. Cool. I might have the wraps go up a little bit higher, like fingerless gloves almost. Around here. But yeah. Yeah, I take back to a certain degree what I said earlier. I did 90s comics, definitely like, you know, it's probably the most influential like year of comics on me. In terms of like new characters that came out during that time, like Cable and you know, Deadpool, and especially like Spawn, someone like Spawn, you know. Um, I guess all of Todd McFarlane's characters like Venom and stuff. But yeah. So yeah. Go Shadow from his sleeve. Coming down like that. Very, very nice. So I guess for the axe handle, I was thinking of just making it a stick. I want to do something a little bit different with it though. Add like a little bit of flavor to it. Um, change the shape of it though. I might add a little bit of a curve to it. Yeah, the Authority's great. Love Preacher. God, especially the covers. Those like painted covers. Um, very like reminiscent of like 80s 2000 AD covers with that kind of those acrylic paintings that they did is just great. But yeah, the Preacher, I just love it. All the Vertigo stuff, to be honest, like Preacher, Hellblazer, Sandman, and you know, Swamp Thing. Can't go wrong. There's just a kind of style to all of those. I'll get that cape though. I've done it a little bit too wispy, so I keep forgetting it's like, you know, it's there. But yeah, it is there. It's gonna swoop down, and there's gonna be a lot of like heavy shadow coming in here. And then it's gonna kind of, but I want it to like blend out vignette style, just kind of fade out into the, you know, the rest of the page as it is, just kind of like, you know, um, like cowboy shot, just like knees up, you know. Uh, yeah. Don't have to worry about this arm because it's foreshortened, so like the forearm is literally like aimed straight towards the camera, so you don't actually sort of see much of it, and you have the bicep coming up here. I will give him like some kind of skirt, like tabard type thing. Um, Hello, Lone Jedi. Thank you for coming. Happy to have you here. I'm gonna darken up this belt actually a little bit. Get like some shadow in there, and then it'll get kind of bright around this spot here. So, but I want to follow the shape of it a little bit. Yeah, the Twitch reminder is very hit or miss. Usually miss. And that up. I'm gonna freehand the axe handle. Give it a bit more like of an interesting shape rather than just like a sort of pole. But I'll add some kind of wraps around it, like for grip. See? Hello, Liz. Thanks for coming. Very nice to have you. Honestly, that dog puppet, I need to draw that like dog at some point. It just cracks me up every single time. It's insane looking. Cool. Gonna add like a sort of it's got like a core shadow, so it's like the light coming this way and this way means that it's only going like, you know, in the center of the rounded shape that is the sort of stick. Like that. It just makes it feel more solid, I suppose. Handle up here. Body a bit coming up. Oh, thanks, Liz. Thanks for taking the time out. Hope it's going well. Thank you very much, Sarah Nix. Appreciate it. Not much left to do on this guy before I move on to his body. But with the axe, I want to add like a kind of big crack in the middle of it. Like it's sort of been split at some point, and maybe I'll add some like weld bars. Like it's sort of been like sort of reshaped together. You know, like that. And then just covering it in like sort of like chips and dents and stuff like that. None of this stuff is new. It's all been worn out and beaten up, and nothing's very like polished or you know, refined looking. But yeah. Almost there with this guy. Now add a bit of shadow on the face just to add a bit more drama. But I've got my light source coming this way, and sort of more predominantly this way, so it will be. And I'm gonna try and avoid the face like markings. So they'll kind of. That's an example of me just ignoring how lighting works and in favor of just, you know, a cool look. This is a I guess, an archaic raider, a pair of them, 2 sort of wastelanders, using, I guess, homemade forged weapons, made from scraps and, you know, remnants of a bygone era. Thank you very much, Ashfleet. Read in the chat. Cool. I'm gonna do is like tunic, nothing crazy, just a lot of holes in it. In all the sort of PG-13 places, of course. There you go. I'm definitely going to darken it up, but I'm going to map out where the darkness is going to be. I want to frame the hand a little bit, like, you know, this arm. So I'm going to add a lot of like drop shadows around the knuckles and around the sort of shape of it, like that. Because I think you can like tend to over-render areas, especially if they're like behind another object, and it can end up kind of muddling it a little bit. So sometimes like solid black is just, you know, the best option. Certainly for like visual clarity and like readability, because that at the end of the day, but like, you know, illustration, that's everything. It's just, you know, being able to immediately know what it is you're looking at. Has a lot less collapsible on him, yeah. I can't make him cute, Liz. You know, he's got a. The other guy's a different story. We'll see how what direction we end up with him. But oh, this guy, he's all about the mission. He's all about, you know, all about the business. No messing around. No nonsense. He is here for a fight. Cool. And I'm going to do that cape, and this is like, I always dread like these kind of like long, like unbroken lines like here, because you got to have like a steady hand, and what you don't want is to kind of like, you know, somewhere like here, like you're trying to do like a long shape, and look how like nice that is, because I'm not under pressure of like following a line. You know, I freehand it, but I tend to sometimes like, you know, it's so easy to go back over yourself and end up like leaving it a little bit too thick and then missing it in places. So I think that's sometimes where it's nice to actually have like an actual brush rather than a brush pen. Yeah, not too bad. Because then that way you can actually like get very organic looking shapes like that, like, you know, smooth shapes. Good for like trees and like bark and like natural structures and shapes. The one I'm using now, this is a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen. The packet looks like, I've actually thrown it away maybe. Give me 1 second. There you go. This is what the pack looks like, and you want to get the green one. There's a blue version, which has like a slightly harder tip to it. And the problem with the harder tip, I find, most people use the blue, you know, harder tipped one. I don't really get it. I think you can't really get as dynamic a line with it. And the reason I use these pens is, you know, you can go like super light if you want, and then really heavy, and then back to light again. It's essentially like one of those dipping like crow quill pens, you know, that you got to like keep dipping in ink with like, you know, the metal tip to it. But with these ones, they're just like disposable and like so easy to use. One drawback is like they really don't last very long. The tip is like pretty sensitive, so you can't really, you know, abuse them too much. Like never once have I had these run out of ink because I've just used it, you know, used all the ink in it. It's always like, oh, the tip's sort of like worn out, and then I chuck it after that. You get me? Like, so, yeah, their lifespan isn't that long, but they are well worth it, and they are such a nice tool to use. But yeah, like I said earlier, they're actually a calligraphy pen. They're not even a drawing pen. But yeah, the Japanese pens are just so good. You know, just produce like the best kind of pens. Another one I use, I don't know if I'll use it today. Actually, you know what? Now's a pretty good time. You know, I could use it. Is the Pentel pocket brush. This one is like I got. Usually it comes in black, but I got the green one, the orange one. It's got a synthetic brush end to it, and it comes with these like little cartridges like this. So oh, conveniently, this one is empty, so I'll tell you how to replace it. And yeah, it's like these kind of little plastic containers, and yeah, these are like the kind of refills you can get for it. So, yeah. And they last like a pretty good, you know, pretty good while. Fudenosuke brush pen. Yeah, that's it. Fudenosuke. It is by, I think it's by Pentel or Sakura. It might be by Sakura. But yeah, if you go like Tombow Fudenosuke, you've got it in the chat. That's how you spell it. And yeah, that's the exact one. Like I said, the green one's soft, and the blue one's a slightly harder tip. Probably better for like writing, I think. But the green one is just magic. It's my favorite tool. It's just revolutionized the way I kind of draw everything now, because I draw it with like that, you know, the benefits of that tool in mind. Whereas before I'd use like a kind of fine liner with like a very like hard tip that doesn't like have any line weight to it, which is it's good for cross hatching, but you don't get these like kind of very nice sort of like thick to thin shapes, you know, like all around here and stuff. So I think there are times where I switch back, but I could have really done with knowing about, you know, knowing about these types of pens, you know, a good while ago. There were times where I did try and use like a crow quill like dipping pen, but God, I just hate that. Actually, got them right here. So like these ones, the G pen. This is kind of what like these are imitating, I guess. And they've got like the kind of metal prongs at the end that like split as you apply pressure, and it obviously like releases more ink. And the ink's kind of held by like, you know, water tension, I guess. So yeah, but the problem is you get like dollops of ink everywhere, and it's just I find it's more hassle than it's worth, and that's why I stopped using them. But I don't know. Some people like the are very like patient drawers, and you know, don't really mind dwelling on the same piece for like ages and ages. But for me, it just drives me crazy. I have to, you know, move on at some point. Speaking of which, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with this guy. I'm gonna kind of wait for this ink to dry, and then I'll come in with like my kneaded eraser and just lightly dust some of my pencil markings, and yeah, I probably will come in with some grey tones. Like there's a little bit of like dark patches here that I should have added. Like there, like that, just to kind of, you know, keep the kind of keep the lighting scheme like as consistent as possible. And we're back. Thank you for the wait. All right. We're going now to his lackey, the guy next to him. So we've just wrapped up with this guy. I put a bit of paper over him just so I don't smudge him with my right hand. I probably should have worked left to right than right to left, you know, but is what it is. Is what it is. Probably should have started with this guy, but got to figure out there were a lot of like design elements with him first. So I definitely want to go with a sword, something like that. His arm coming up. That helps. Yeah, a much more like dynamic pose than the other guy, and some kind of helmet, maybe like a hard hat. I know. There we go. And then I might add like a little bit of a twist to it, add some kind of you know, design to it. But yeah, we'll make it up as we go. I'm just gonna like freehand his face, I guess. I don't know what expression he's got, but I need to figure that out before I do anything else, really. Cool. I don't know if I want to give him any facial hair like the other guy, but I want to give him like some kind of. Thanks for stopping by, Liz. Appreciate it. Good luck. I'm gonna give him like a bit of a, maybe some like mutton chop style like facial hair on the side of his face, like that. And then maybe some kind of like, yeah, I'll give him like a what was it, a soul patch beard that comes into a little like tied up bun right there. Cool. But yeah, I wanted him to have a bit more of like a kind of weirdo expression that you know, contrasts the other guy. But it's all in the eyes. His eyes are gonna be crazy. This guy's scarier than the other guy, actually. Yeah. The hardest part is like matching the right eye with the when you know you sort of render the right eye almost to completion without doing the other one, and then now you have to kind of like make it match. Here we go. Yeah, I could give him an eye patch. You know what? It's a bit too piratey. I don't know. Could give him an eye patch. I could give him maybe one eye stone shirt or something. I'm just making up excuses to not draw it. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, this guy's wired. He's don't know if he's I don't know. Don't know if he's looking forward to the fight or maybe he's looking forward to it a bit too much. But I want him to have like kind of a strong silhouette on his head. I'm gonna move the camera up a little bit just so you can see this. Like that. That's fine. Yeah, just there. That come down like that. And you know what? He's so overboard. He's gonna have a mohawk running down the middle of his the horns and the spiky mohawk. Yeah, he's pulled a hamstring and he's just fighting through the pain. Yeah, he's seen stuff. He's yeah, maybe this guy's the rookie. You know, he doesn't know the realities of war, and you know, this guy's on his 20th battle already. You know, he's had a lifetime of it. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna put a little bit of space. I'm gonna give him like the one horn up top, and I want a little bit of space on like the front of his helmet, like on his forehead part here. Some kind of logo like that. Some like symbol, because they've all got kind of that like war paint, you know, these like markings all over them. So I want that to stay consistent with this guy. Not sure exactly what I want to do. I know what I want to do now. Some kind of bird logo on his forehead. Not any kind of bird in particular. The you know, a bird. And then maybe some like stripes coming down his face. Come up with that, I think, a little bit later. But for now, yep, he's got the ram horns. I'm gonna add like kind of a. They've all got this kind of like bone shape to it. You know, where like the kind of like this. I think where it like grows, you kind of get these like sort of segmented horns, if you know what I mean. I think that's from just where it's like grown in stages, I'd like to think. Not 100% sure, but it does look cool actually. It does give a lot of like, you know, texture to it. Something like that. There you go. Yeah. Right. Um. Oh, cool. So that's his face. I'm gonna ink that in now. And I was pretty tight with my pencils. I wasn't too loose with the pencils, so like now it means I can be pretty quick with the inking. I'm not doing too much like, um, not much thought is going into like, the details because I've kind of already done the heavy lifting a little bit. Whereas like usually a lot of the time I'll like go super like wispy and like light and very gestural with the pencils. And then when it comes to like the inking, that's when I like tighten up the drawing a little bit. When usually a lot of artists say like to do the opposite, be very, very tight with your pencils, and then with the inking be like as energetic with it. I don't really know which is best, but uh, so long as you've kind of like got a bit of energy in either stage, you know. I think when you're like tight with one stage and then loose and flowy with the other, I don't think you can go wrong. So long as you're not too tight beginning to end. Although there are some guys like some illustrators that are just such good like technical drawers, like Katsuhiro Otomo who does like the Akira comics, like all the machines in that look like they can actually work. Like it's so convincing, all of like the intricacies of the parts and the way they fit together and all like the robot um, elements just look like spectacular. Um, but yeah, I've always struggled with that, like that and like steampunk and things like that. Drawing anything roboty is yeah, I just don't find that fun at all. I prefer like tree monsters and like giant sort of flesh monsters, like anything kind of organic that doesn't have to be symmetrical or look like it is meant to be like something that can actually be built. You know what I mean? Um, Arms. I'm gonna kind of do a curve here and like build it up through curves, so that when I add the kind of the lines, the segments, it looks like it's like part of the larger shape of it. You'll see what I mean when I add the middle part, and then these bits. Like that. Then when I come in with a bit of shadow, it'll like be in between. So I'll do something like, if the light source is the same as this guy's, then it's like coming up here, bit of bounce light. So I'm gonna say there's like a core shadow coming down this part, and then because of the curvature of the horn, it will like lighten up here and then go dark again, like on the other side. Um, there we go, like that. Hello, Kat. Thank you for being here. Lovely to see you. Yeah, it's all right. Twitch doesn't do many favors in the notification department, but I'm gonna actually use a fine liner to do that bird on his head, only because it's just a little bit sharp and a bit more graphic looking. So I don't really want to mess it up with like too much line weight. A little bit of like a bow for where it's like eyebrow is. Decides to give it kind of like cartoony eyes like that. And then the beak will come over. And then that's like its sort of body shape. Maybe give it a bit of a nose as well. Welcome all, welcome all. I'd love to see everyone here. Middle part there. Middle part up here. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So yeah, this was our first guy, and yeah, we're going to kind of follow a lot of the similar like motifs here with this dude, and maybe kind of like zig where he zags, if you know what I mean. Like just kind of, you know, really try and make this guy different and individual from the other guy. So yeah, sweet. Same thing, however, like it will actually, so with the light source, it'll be coming down here, and I can add a lot of the shadow here. So coming in like that, coming in down here, yeah. I'm just making that core shadow as consistent as possible. I'm not going to add any shadow up here because obviously that's like in the direction of the light, but yeah, it will follow the shape there. I'm going to be pretty quick with the beard, keep it loose. Keep it wispy, keep it flowy. Very sort of very thin mustache and beard going on. There we go. Cool. I'll come in with some shadows later for his face, but first I want to kind of like figure out what the rest of him even looks like. So he's got his sword here. The blade will come up. It's kind of a short sword, I guess. Like that. Blade down there. The dreaded hands I will inevitably have to draw. This guy's definitely a lot like skinnier. He's a lot leaner than the other guy. So definitely quicker and a lot more agile. But yeah. Maybe sleeveless as well. Maybe he wants to show off his what muscles he does have. Yeah. Definitely have some cool gauntlets though. Bicep there, his elbow will come out there, forearm there, and I'll give him one shoulder pad on the right hand side. And then maybe his cloak will flow. His cloak will like cut over him a little bit, like flow on top of him. In terms of like foreground, middle ground, background, like his little beard thing there comes in front of the sword, so I'll do that first, and then it's the sword, and then I can kind of worry about everything that's behind him without worrying like, oh shoot, I need to like rub out or like white out, you know, a part of him that should be underneath something else. But I'm gonna cover the sword in like nicks and scratches and all sorts like that. A lot of shadowing on this sword blade. There we are. Remember that the hilt will be there. Something like that. Yeah, perfect. Cool. Motion lines there. Sweet. Elbow here. His deltoid? No. Tricep. Tricep, yeah. Bicep, tricep. Don't know what the deltoid is. Someone can remind me. Which is the deltoid? I think that's in your leg, I want to say. I think that's bicep, tricep, pectoral, obviously. You might be right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, maybe this is the the deltoid. I don't know. Anyway, it's all just meat. Anyway, all just sort of. They're all the same shape. They're either all muscles or just shaped like that. They're all just rugby balls, and then you add the rendering like that. Like that is a muscle, and then they just fit on top of each other like that. That is every single muscle in the body. It's all just like you have the point here and the point like here where it connects to the bone and here as well. And the rest of it just like comes out and it pinches back in on itself. Somebody showed me that and it blew my mind. Like every single muscle is for the most part like that. You might have some outliers like the pecs, but even the pecs, I'm pretty sure you can like break down into that same like lemon shape, that weird kind of lemon shape, I guess. But it is true. It's certainly for drawing it helps, but yeah. But with the chest, it's all just like an M or a W, like that, and then from that, you can get the shape of the body from that shape like that there. So I think if you just remember that, you can get those shapes pretty consistent. There you go. But yeah. There are a few like shortcuts, like shorthand things you can do all the time. But I think when you realize that everything is just shapes, slightly more complicated shapes, but it is all just sort of shapes. Everything is just either a sort of cylinder or a square or a ball. Shadow underneath. Like everything is that, to a certain degree. But with things like the horn shape, that's a really complicated shape that I struggled with for like a long time, but then you realize it really is just like, it is just like a cylinder, but obviously you just have these like curves that do slightly affect the shape of it ever so slightly. And with shadows, like shadows affect shapes in such simple ways, to apply that, and have it have like continuity with the rest of the image. Like you can make anything look like it's 3D and real and like tangible, I guess. But yeah. I'm gonna make his shoulder pad, this one, like, I was thinking a tire, like, you know, the tire tread, and it's just been cut in that shape. But I also thought, like, you know, the, like, metallic flooring that comes in, like, these shapes? These ones. Like that was just kind of like has been, like, bent into, like, you know, a shoulder pad like that. But it's like, I think it's a grid of 4, and then it comes in the different, like, another direction, and it's just like that checkerboard, like that, I believe. Hey, stickmen are the best way to figure out anatomy, 100%. If you draw a stickman, you know, and so long as, like, you just make sure the limb length is correct, and, you know, it's no, it's really good for, like, fundamentals. I mean, like, when I whip these up, like, these guys are just like arms are just lines and, like, sticks, you know. But then you kind of obviously add a bit of, like, meat and muscle and shape to it. But it all does start from, like, effectively I'd argue even more simple than a stickman, just I don't know, gestural shapes. Flooring from kilt, yeah, exactly, yeah. Bit of a pain to draw though. Like, you have to do each individual blimmin' one. Certainly not helping me with time, but I think, oh, we're fine. We are fine. We are fine for time. Oh, yeah. So it's like a sort of bit of metal there. Maybe some, like, little, like, rivets in there, like it's been bolted on some, like, piece of leather. Cool. His hat. So I'll have one hand here, I guess. I might need to rearrange ever so slightly that. Just the way it joins onto the sort of handle of that sword. So the blade will be like that. The handle will be like here. And then one hand will be on it, I guess, like that. Cool. And I like the scarf the first guy had, so I'm going to give him, like, a sort of scarf that, like, obviously connects down into a cloak. And I'll give him, like, the fur trim that I didn't give the other guy. It's got this, like, fur lining or something like that. That's, like, poking out at the top there. And it's just, like, various straps of leather on top of each other, just wrapping around his arm. And why not? He can have a bicep vein too. There you go. Cool. Yeah, but drawing hands at, like, any angle. I mean, hands are just, like, it will never not be hard. No wonder, like, you know, the Thing has 3 fingers, because just, you know, Jack Kirby knew what he was doing when he designed them. Just make it easier. Take one out. 3, 4 knuckles. Finger there. Finger there. That works. And yeah, 2, 3. Yeah, the AI fingers. Yeah. Yeah, the AI. It will get better. You know, whether we like it or not, it will get better. But in the meantime, yeah, it definitely does suck. Certainly with the with the hands. But yeah. To be fair though, I mean, like, I don't think I'll ever be able to make drawings. Like, you know, it can make photographs and like, you know, or pseudo photographs and even paintings to an extent, but like actual drawings with like line work, I've never really seen anything like pull that off as of yet. But I don't know, it is a useful tool to it for some things, I guess. I don't really use it for anything, but I think it's here whether we like it or not, so. Cool. And I'm going to give it like a pommel that's like, maybe comes to like a point there like that. A point like that. A bit of shading on it like that. There you go. A few forearm bands. Loads of arm hair. These are barbarians, sort of brutes, I guess. Brutish warriors. Sweet. Yeah. What is his shirt gonna be? I'm gonna go for like another tunic like that guy. So I might go with shirtless. Mind you, a lot of him is actually hidden, so I've got the sword in the way and his arm in front of him, so it doesn't have to be anything too elaborate. It just Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it does look good when you have a lot of like the shadowing on, you know, it looks a lot more complete. So hopefully this guy will get him to that same degree. But yeah, to be fair, it's actually dry enough where I can probably rub out the pencils, but I'll save that to the end. However, I always save it to the end, like the final rubbing out of all my pencil lines. And without fail, like if it's an important page, I'll like, you know, scrunch up the paper from like not holding it apart properly when I'm rubbing out. So that's why I've kind of switched to like a kneaded eraser, because then, you know, the risk of like creating all these crease marks is massively reduced. But yeah. We're gonna go with his scarf here, and it's just these like wrap shapes. Doesn't have to look really like you know, anything too uniform. But there you go. And then the same thing with the cloak. I'm just gonna go for it. There we go. Folds up there. Comes back up. He's kind of like, yeah, it's sort of swooping over his leg there. I'll give him a belt, but it's not really, you're not gonna see too much of it. And then I've got to figure out shadows. So this guy's got a lot of like cast shadows. But with this guy, it wasn't so much like shadow being cast from an object. I suppose I could have added like a cast shadow like here from the axe. But this guy's got his arm in the way, he's got his like sword in the way, so there's gonna be a lot of shadow here. Shadow coming down here. Shadow down here. Shadow all down here. And then it's like the sort of shape of him is folding into the cape a little bit, so it's just going to get super dark all around here, and even the back of his arm, so there's going to be a core shadow going all across there, and a shadow from his head and his helmet. across that part. A little shadow on the sword from his beard. So yeah, I'm gonna figure out the shape of all of this though first. We're gonna be like that. There's a lot of like approaches and like, you know, things going on in my head that I just can't like articulate, especially when it comes to shadow. Like even I haven't really like, you know, I wouldn't really know how to explain like this object around him, like on his shirt, it's all got like a direction and a motion to it. So when I do the shadows, it can't just be flat shadows. Like in a lot of my old work, you know, I keep seeing a lot like flat, like rendering of shadow on what should be a rounded object, but the shadow just looks so flat and two-dimensional that it makes something that should be very 3D just look like, you know, it's, well, done on paper, which it of course it is, but you're trying to kind of break the illusion of, you know, volume and stuff like that. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla, yeah. Yeah, this guy's a bit more you know, a bit more Skyrim, I guess, with the curved sort of ram horns. As I was doing it, I thought, oh no, it's a bit too Skyrim, but Skyrim doesn't have a pattern on the on ram horns on a helmet, surely. Well, they can't own it. The ram horns are for the people. I'm gonna add. I've already started just there. Shadow on his face there, on the side of his nose. The light's coming down here, so it'll be all kind of like that. And then I want the helmet to look like it's kind of sitting on his head, like, and not just like in perfect line with it. So I will add like a cast shadow, like that. Yeah. So it looks like it's sort of, you know, raised, I guess. There we go. And immediately with like shadow on the face, I was always like, um, like reluctant to add shadow on the face because I always thought it would like darken it too much and you wouldn't really see much of the expression, and you know, like elements of it will just be kind of drowned out by too much like black on the page, too much like solid black. But it does add like a certain amount of like drama to it that otherwise wasn't there. So like the eyes just kind of pop way more when like you framed it in a bit of darkness. Like instantly looks way cooler, way more dramatic. Gonna add the shadow coming all the way down here around, like that. Um, I'm freehanding a lot of this shadow. I know where it's gonna like be. It's only like the more complicated shapes, like cast shadows. Cast shadows, like it's something that's so easy to overlook. Even like really good artists, you know, will just never do cast shadows. And to be honest, most of the time you don't really have to. But it just makes it all the more like convincing that these objects are like on top of each other, and they are like affecting each other in space. Like the way you know, light hits one thing and then, you know, creates a shadow on another. It's something that like, you know, I just overlook all the time. So I'm trying to like kind of get that in everything, like always think about, okay, this thing's here, how will that like affect this other thing based on where the light source is coming from and the shape of the thing itself. A lot of the time it will like, you know, if you had like, let's just say I had an object up here and the light in, you know, in actuality would cover his face in shadow, that wouldn't look very good. So I'd kind of just ignore the, you know, ignore that reality just for the sake of like the drawing. Is you know, ultimately you want a cool looking image. and you don't want, you know, don't want it to be messed up by a unfortunate placement of another object that you really should have like seen coming, but that's what it is. But yeah, one thing I did here, which I probably shouldn't have, I like the wraps are like shaped like that, so I should have shaded it like that instead of like vertically. So like I should be doing what I'm doing here now, which is like following the direction of the shape. So if something's like cylindrical like this, I'd hatch it like that, and I'd follow the curvature of it, if you get what I mean. That way it just like it you know, it it convinces you of the volume of that object a little bit more than say if I was to, I don't know, like if it was like this, shaped like that, and I render it like that. It's just not quite as, to me it just doesn't hit like quite as hard as this does in terms of like, you know, convincing volume. But obviously when you have a flat shape, that's when I do the like cross hatch, very flat looking, you know, shading like that. But with a bowl, that's when you go crazy with like every single direction in the book. You go like that way, and you go that way, and you go that way. Because obviously it is directionless, because it's not got one singular kind of, you know, volume, you know, shape to it. You can actually go any which way you want. So if you just want to go like one direction and then, you know, make that gradual and sort of organic looking, that could work too. But yeah, with fabric though, fabric's crazy because it folds every which way, and it just, you know, it's you got to kind of pay attention to the way the material like folds in on itself and moves in different directions, and you know, the flow of it, I guess. So I need to figure out what's going on here. I think he's got his belt that's going around there that you can't really see. And I've tucked in his waist a little bit too much. I'm going to have it stick out a little bit like that. There you go. So that's his body coming down like there. His belt is there, and then his leg, I'm going to have one leg, if it were there, like coming out here. So that would be one thigh there, and the other one would be like here, probably. So I'm going to add, again, a tunic, because it just makes... It's a little bit of a hack for, you know, not drawing the sort of pelvis. And figuring out like how that connects and, you know, the shapes of it. So I might add a little bit of flow to it, like it's being kicked up by the wind or something like that. And like that. Who do I go to for inspiration? Oh man. There's a lot. I think who inspired me like to start taking drawing really seriously, when I was like, God, 15, something like that. Definitely not someone I look at nowadays so much. Not that I've grown out of their work. It's just that, you know, my taste has changed, and I've studied a lot of like different people. But who kind of like, you know, got me in gear to like actually take it seriously was Todd McFarlane, who created Venom and created Spawn. And it was the cover of Spider-Man 300, no, 300 and, I want to say 303, 306. The one where he's like sat on a spider web and he's just covered in like loads and loads of spiders. Like that, when I saw that cover, like that image alone just made me want to start drawing. Which is kind of incredible how like just one image was so cool looking. It made me, you know, just take the whole thing seriously. Like literally overnight. I remember the day like I saw it for the first time. I just couldn't believe it. Like it just blew my mind how cool that image was. Looking back at it now, like I don't really know why it captured me so much the way it did. But yeah, it was just so sick. It was yeah, I wish I could remember the issue number, so if anyone wants to look at it. But it was just, if you go to Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man, you'll know the one. of him sat on the web, just covered in like loads of like tiny spiders all over his body and on like his like lenses, on like the lenses of his mask and stuff. It just looked so sick, and it just instantly made me, I redrew that image like that same day, and yeah, I just kept drawing every single day after that, non-stop. But nowadays I like, I gotten a bit more like into manga and stuff like that. But that I did like before I saw that picture. But in terms of actually like studying really, really good mangaka that were around, like Lone Wolf and Cub, about the samurai. Like that's one book I recently got the artist edition of that. And that is like, it's fascinating seeing like anime and manga before like the house style. What I mean, like came into play, like with the big eyes and the kind of, the rainbow hair and stuff like that. Before any of that was like a sort of staple of the genre, like in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like anime and manga really like it hadn't found its like, the identity that would like define it. But I argue it's like more interesting because it's like people are trying stuff, and like the creativity at that time was just, unbelievable. And the artistry as well, because people weren't, there wasn't like editors weren't like pressuring artists to like stick to a successful looking style. Say like, oh, this style works, this style is like what's popular, and people gravitate towards. It was just kind of go for anything. And you had a lot of like very creative books, that a lot of which didn't really work and were a bit like odd looking, but you'd have so many books like Violence Jack and Devilman, and even like Astro Boy kind of was a game changer, like Fist of the North Star. Um, but yeah, I look at those a lot like nowadays, but to be honest, like in 5 years' time, it's going to change again completely, um, and I'll just be obsessed with something else. Like, but yeah, right now, I think also because the artwork's all black and white, and I just love the black and white drawing so much. Um, it to make an image like effective and to sort of set an atmosphere, and make something really feel ambient without any color is always something I was just sort of amazed by. But yeah, I'm almost done with this guy. I'm just thinking if there's any other elements I want to add on. Not to diss on modern anime or manga or anything like that. Like I love all the stuff coming out today, and it's just become an absolute phenomenon over the last like say 8 years. And rightly so. The storytelling has just always been incredible. Sweet. Plus, I never gave this guy pupils. I'm not sure if I want to. I will. I better. I'll have him looking off in like that direction. Yeah, the Ghibli style is like it. It's like it's got a tinge of anime to it, but it really does feel like its own thing. But it does feel very distinctly like Japanese. Um, but yeah, the Ghibli art. Like I saw what was it, The Boy and the Heron? I think was the newest movie, the newest Ghibli movie, and I saw that in theaters like a couple months ago, and it was just incredible. Like the 2D animation is just so good looking, and it's like timeless as well. Like that movie could have been made like at the exact same time as like say, Spirited Away, which came out, oh God, like 2004, like early 2000s. I could be wrong. It might have been a bit later, but uh, but yeah, I'm always Princess Mononoke though. Love Princess Mononoke, and all like the kind of the demons and the forest spirits and that just look incredible. It's like so like spooky looking. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm thinking if there's anything I want to add to these two. And I'll move my camera up a little bit like that. Get both of these guys in. Yeah. Thank you very much, Tales of the Strange. Yep. I'm gonna try and color these soon. Usually, like when I draw something that I know is going to be colored, I'm a little bit more sparing with like the solid black I use. Like I'll kind of refrain from having a lot of like, so, like for example, I've got the character artworks for you know, everyone else's character. This is like Mr. Rogers. Like there's virtually no like solid black in the rendering and like hatching, because I knew I'd do a lot of that work in in the coloring. But with these ones, like it'll look good. It'll look all right when it's like colored, but it's also like I'm happy with it if it was just to stay black and white. But no, I know exactly what I'll do with the coloring. There's definitely a color scheme in mind with these two, and yeah, I look forward to scanning them and pulling it off. But yeah, I'm liking the cloaks. And yeah, a pair of weirdos. Come on, with some white out and just clear up. Thank you very much, guy who knows stuff. Appreciate it. Sorry about my rambling. I had to say, yeah. I had to say something. I'm gonna tuck in that. I appreciate that. I definitely will not be able to listen to this recording though. I'll just be cringing the whole time. I can't stand listening to myself. So there's no way I'm gonna be watching this. But I'm glad you enjoyed it though. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. A lot of like retro manga is where I'm at now. Uh, like Blade of the Immortal and Ghost in the Shell. Just I'm looking over all of that stuff, and that was like certainly Ghost in the Shell. I think was like late '80s, early '90s. And the machinery in all of that is like on par with like Katsuhiro Otomo, and it just looks so incredible. But uh, not to say that I don't really like look at too much like Western stuff nowadays. Like my favorite comic of all time is Daredevil Born Again, like, and it always will be. It's just the best story like ever told in comic form, like just in my opinion. I've never seen anything like top that. Um, but yeah. Yeah, Ghost in the Shell, like it's. I actually think that it's one of the few manga to get an anime, adapted movie, like that was pretty much, in my opinion, like spot on with the adaptation. Like, Akira. is just so big, such a massive story. There's just no way that one movie could like capture all of it. But Ghost in the Shell, like, it was just. I don't think they missed out much. You know, it. I think it's like one of the best anime movies ever. I think I can't really think of anything else like of that, like the adult anime movies, like the kind of mature ones that were around, like in the late 90s, like early 2000s. Yeah, I think Ghost in the Shell has to be number one. There are a lot of like really good OVAs like Rurouni Kenshin, Trust and Betrayal, and stuff like that. But yeah, the Ghost in the Shell movie is so sick. But yeah, that brings us to what is it now? 9:59. Absolutely whizzed by. But I thank everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna sign it at the bottom here. There we go. And yeah, I'll get these colored, and you will see them. I know you will all see them again, these two guys, so you'll know where they came from and how they were made. But yeah, definitely don't have a name for either of them though. Need to come up with something. I thank you, Lone Jedi, for being here. Really appreciate it. No, thanks everybody for taking the time to watch. And yeah, Tales of the Strange will be back. This on God. On yeah, next Thursday, every Thursday. So be sure to tune in on this channel, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Great game, great players. And yeah, I don't really have an outro in mind, so no. Well, I thank you for watching, and take care of yourselves.
There she goes with a sparkle in her eye. Here's my chance, don't let her walk on by. Wherever she goes, she lights up with a glow. Is she uranium? I really wanna know. There she goes, and I do not want to miss an opportunity for an explosive kiss. There she goes again, heading out the door. I stop and hold her tight, I know she wants some more. Her eyes are burning deep into my soul. Her radiant smile sends me out of control. This romantic moment I do not want to miss. And when I squeeze her, it's explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Wherever she goes, she lights up with a glow. Is she uranium? I really wanna know. There she is again, the best thing in my life. This is it, my friend, now will she be my wife? What will she say? I do not wanna guess. She drops a bombshell when she tells me yes. Here she comes like an angel of the abyss. And at the altar, it's explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we with a sparkle in her eye. Here's my chance, don't let her walk on by. Wherever she goes, she lights up with a glow. Is she uranium? I really wanna know. There she goes, and I do not want to miss an opportunity for an explosive kiss. There she goes again, heading out the door. I stop and hold her tight, I know she wants some more. Her eyes are burning deep into my soul. Her radiant smile sends me out of control. This romantic moment I do not want to miss. And when I squeeze her, it's explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Wherever she goes, she lights up with a glow. Is she uranium? I really wanna know. There she is again, the best thing in my life. This is it, my friend, now will she be my wife? What will she say? I do not wanna guess. She drops a bombshell when she tells me yes. Here she comes like an angel of the abyss. And at the altar, it's explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. There she goes with a sparkle in her eye. Here's my chance, don't let her walk on by. Wherever she goes, she lights up with a glow. Is she uranium? I really wanna know. There she goes, and I do not want to miss an opportunity for an explosive kiss. There she goes again, heading out the door. I stop and hold her tight, I know she wants some more. Her eyes are burning deep into my soul. Her radiant smile sends me out of control. This romantic moment I do not want to miss. And when I squeeze her, it's explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss. Wherever she goes, she lights up with a glow. Is she uranium? I really wanna know. There she is again, the best thing in my life. This is it, my friend, now will she be my wife? What will she say? I do not wanna guess. She drops a bombshell when she tells me yes. Here she comes like an angel of the abyss. And at the altar, it's explosive when we kiss. Explosive when we kiss.